Hey folks, it's Kary Oberbrunner. I have with me a fantastic guest, someone I've long admired for many, many years. He is incredible. He's an author, he's a speaker, he's a thought leader. His name is Jeremie Kubicek. Jeremie, welcome today.
Good to be with you, Kary, as always.
Awesome. Listen, man, you are a prolific writer. I know this next year you're cranking out the books. You're pretty much the only guy I know who can write a book in 30 days. So we'll have to extract that piece of genius sometime in the near future. But today we're talking about your amazing new book called The Peace Index. Jeremie, how much is our world in need of peace today?
It's a common issue, the external chaos of
Mm,
everything we've gone through the last 2 years. People are talking mental health, they're talking almost like a PTSD that people have had. And it's all proliferated from just fear. It's like
mm,
just the anxiety and worry from COVID and pandemic and monkeypox to the issues of the Ukrainian war to future wars with China and Taiwan and blah 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 blah. To add in inflation, add in politics, but it's
wow.
like the cycles that we go through as a people, not just in the United States but
Mm.
globally. It has really affected us more than we know.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't imagine if I wasn't a centered, grounded person with faith and exercise and family. Man, I would wake up and literally panic. I saw a statistic the other day that said 25% of all adults are on antidepressants. Can you believe that? I mean, do you think there's a correlation between anti-anxiety medicine, depression medicine, and this peace unrest that we have?
Yeah, in fact, there's a study that Gallup has just done. Is the sadness poll, and the sadness poll is an all time high. It's at
Wow.
28% of the population say that they are deeply sad. So when you take that with the antidepressant number 25%, you're like, yeah, I can see
You're
how
pretty
that
close.
could make sense.
Oh, yeah. Well, listen, you have a slide deck today, and I'm so glad for all the Soul Symposium guests just to frame this again for them. Maybe they found this randomly, they don't even know why they're on it, but they're here. I think they're here for a reason. Soul Symposium is essentially our attempt to say that out of the world issues that we know of today, peace is one of the most important ones. And Jeremie is one of the most important voices on this topic. So, what I did is I looked around and I said, who are the five leading voices on the five leading topics? And then I came together with an incredible list. This Soul Symposium is absolutely free. And the only call to action at all that we're asking people to do is if they find value in your talk and the other speakers, to go ahead and pre-order the book. So, Jeremie, you're going to take us in a little bit here. I'm going to let you share a screen. Show us a little bit. Tell us what the Peace Index is all about.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, I write a lot of books and I write on leadership and I write on teams. And what I've come to realize is that at the very core of most people, you can't give what you don't possess. If you're
Mhm.
not healthy, it's hard to give anything to your family, to your spouse, to your team. So my whole mission is for healthy leaders. But it's not just jargon, it's not mamby-pamby, it's really, really practical. So
Mhm.
this external unrest affects internal peace. But what I'm trying to get to is when there is no peace, work suffers, relationships break down, depression can cause mental illness issues, all those things that we kind of know. So what
Mhm.
I'm after is this. I'm actually trying to get to the point where I can help you mature, which maturity is really the ability to develop inner peace when there is no outer peace, when there's
Wow.
no external peace. And if we have more resolve, more resiliency, that's an inside game. And it does, it starts with your mind, body, and spirit. It's a spiritual thing, it's a mental thing, it's a physical thing. And that's really what I'm going after firsthand. And so I make this case, Kary, and you have this
Mhm.
over your head right now too. Every single person has a number over your head. And if
Wow.
you walk into Starbucks or into a restaurant, you'll see it. the numbers change: 75, 84, 72, 67, and they change each and every day. So
Mm.
what I'm trying to do is get people to go, hey, wouldn't you like to know what your number is? And your number is directly tied to peace. So I may
Mm.
even have you play, Kary, if you're cool with that,
Sure. Sure.
here in a minute. So here's the peace index. And this is for all of you. If you wanted just to give a quick summation, I'm pulling up my calculator, so I'll add them up. But the idea is there's 5 circles, and these 5 circles affect us. So one day I might be an 82. The next day I get news about one of my kids, I'm a 67. The next day I might have a personal health issue, or maybe I had some gain that affected me in provision.
Mm.
That number goes and it shifts every single day. But the more mature person can start being consistent, so their numbers are not all up and down and fluctuating.
Yes.
So the idea then is for you is to go, for anyone listening, you can play along. And I break this down into much, much deeper ways in the book, but there's purpose and people and place and personal health and provision. There's a number 1 through 100.
Mm.
And so what's your number for your purpose? And so right now, Kary, how are you feeling about your purpose?
I feel pretty solid on my purpose. I'm gonna say 98.
98. Man, that's really high.
Mhm.
And purpose, and again, there's a purpose assessment I don't have time for right now that's in the book, that actually if your purpose is low, it takes you on a journey on how to get that number up higher.
Mhm.
People, if you think about the people in your life, these would be the top 10 people in your life, roughly all together, both personal and at work. How good would you feel? What number would you give yourself on people?
Say 83.
83. All right. And when you have a number that's low, then you can really realize, can you control it, or is it uncontrollable?
Mm.
And even in the book, there's this process on the people side that I actually, it's one of those where you can't share it with anyone, because if
Yeah.
they see it, but you're basically analyzing the top 10 people in your life, and there's a little journey and an exercise to understand if you can control it and change it or not. And
Wow.
so that's a key component. Let's get
Mm.
a place. Place is the place is what these are the spaces that supercharge you.
Mm.
So this would be like your den, your bedroom, your house, your backyard, your neighborhood, your local restaurant. What number would you, your office, what number would you put yourself at?
Yeah. I feel good about that. Our kids recently switched schools and we feel like they're in the right place. If you would have asked me a few months ago, maybe I would have had lower, but I feel like that one's a 92.
92. There you go. And again, every one of these numbers, your 92 might be someone else's 78. Okay, and
Mhm.
it's like ranking a movie, but it's subjective to you, and you know what that means. So, personal health, and I know you're a bicyclist, but personal
Yeah.
health would be like your mind, mental,
Yeah.
emotional. It would also be your body, physical,
Sure.
but it would also be spiritual. You can't
Mhm.
take peace is a spiritual thing. So when you put all 3 of those together, what number would you give yourself?
Yeah. Even though I am cycling, I do feel like I'm not in the best shape right now. Eating, a little bit here and there. So I would say that's 89.
Okay, 89. All right.
Mhm.
And then the last one is your provision. And for all of you listening, the provision is, do you have enough to do what you're called to do what your purpose is? Meaning, do you have enough resources? Income is what most people think, but it would be the income, it would be your structure, the things in your life. Do you have enough resources, enough earnings to do what you're
Sure.
called to do? Where would you put yourself at right now, Kary?
Tell you what,
Not
man,
being
I got
vulnerable.
yeah, no, listen, I'm fine with it. I got some big dreams. I'm one of these guys who's, my dreams are bigger than my reality. So I'm gonna say 81. I feel like that's probably the
81.
area that in this whole group that I could probably crush it a little bit more.
So, do you want to know the number over your head? That's the question.
I
Are you
do
ready
want I do want to
to
know.
know that? So, your number over your head is 88.6%. It's
Yeah, that's
89%,
good. That's good.
which is really, really strong. So, now think about this, and you can stop sharing if you want.
Yeah.
Think about this, for all of you listening.
Mm.
Peace is a number. and the number oscillates, it changes. And so for me, I've realized where I was in life, I've been as high as 93, I've been as low as 60,
Wow.
because each one of us has a driver. We have one circle that
Mm,
affects all the other circles. Most of the time it's purpose or people, I find. Sometimes it's others. But if purpose is off, it affects all of your other numbers. If you then know what your lowest number is, so like in my case, I would say right now, I would probably say personal health would be the
mm,
lowest. So
sure.
I'm pretty high overall, and it's very similar to what you mentioned. As a 50-year-old, you're like, you know what, I'm just trying to stay in shape, and my
Yeah,
body's not helping me with that.
sure.
You have to work harder to see smaller improvements. But overall, I go, is it controllable? Yeah. Are there any barriers? No. Is there anything I need? No. I have a full gym. I have everything I need. It's the hurdle of me waking up and doing it, and it's
Mm,
me having an accountability system. And so I use Noom, and I use certain things to help me stay on, because I need a little bit of accountability. My point is, whatever the lowest one for you is, then you
yeah.
can begin to understand where you need to focus and where you can grow. And the tool is a great tool to then start to understand for yourself, but also for your spouse, for your kids, for your colleagues, to teach it as a common language and as a system for knowing how people are doing. Because how are you is not a good indicator of how
Mm.
someone really is doing. And so
And
for me, yeah, go
and
ahead.
if you said, "Hey, Jeremy, how much peace do you have in your life?" That's like, "What?" Like,
Yeah,
right? The
that's weird.
how are you is to how are you is to, you know,
Light.
surfacey, and how much is your soul at peace is like, "Whoa," right? So your peace index right
Mystical.
there.
That's right.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that.
and that's what I've tried to do. I was trying to make it simpler, because I don't walk around asking weird mystical questions. I
Sure.
actually very practical. Where's your
Yeah.
peace index? Now becomes common language. It's an index to go, where's your purpose at? Where's your people? What's your place like right now? And a lot of times people, what they'll do, remember what we're trying to figure out is, where is the issue and why is it so?
Mm.
And we've had a lot of people who've taken the peace index and walked through the process and walked through our course,
Yep.
and they've decided to move houses. They've decided to move schools.
Wow.
They've decided to create a new accountability system. They've decided to actually change jobs or add, a side hustle. There's all types of dynamics, but it's a journey, and you have to go through it. And that's the best thing about the peace index. It's actually a journey. And I can show you a couple of more examples if you want to see them, of what some of those pieces are, or we can go any other direction.
Yeah, yeah. So would this be on your screen?
Yeah, let's go a couple more. So again, where is there no peace and why is there no peace? And so here's an example. So this is called the 5 circles of influence. And a lot of times people don't understand what's off. Well, there's self, there's family, there's team, there's organization, and there's community. These are the 5 circles of influence. And a lot of times people just aren't aware of the problems until I do this exercise. And this is one of many exercises in the book,
Yep.
and on the course, but I'm just giving you kind of a overview. This one's called, so I'm going to mash this tool up with the hope meter. And
Okay.
imagine a hope meter, and it's just a very quick synopsis, just a snapshot of how hopeful you are today for your tomorrow, for your future. So, how hopeful are you? So, if I go, and again, Kary, you're the only one who's on here that I get to see and talk to, so you get to play. Kary, when you think of you as a person,
Mhm.
how hopeful are you about your future? Give me a quick number or a section here: green, yellow, red.
Oh man, I'm green. I tend to be extremely optimistic, and here's why, because I can control me. So that's
So, what
probably the
number would you give yourself?
man. I know this sounds fake, but don't worry, my other ones are gonna be low. But I would say I'm 100, man. I
Yeah,
mean,
there you go. Okay.
yeah,
So, and that tells a lot about you, right? So then the
yeah.
next one would be, what about your family? When
Yeah.
you look at how hopeful are you today about your future with your family, where would you say your number is?
Now everyone's gonna judge, but I'm being real. I'm gonna say just okay, and here's why. We're moving, we got a 17, a 15, and a 13-year-old. Things are good now. And my wife's a counselor. She's amazing. But 3 new schools, we're a week in, big
So you're a little
choice.
nervous. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say just okay.
Yeah. There you go. Now let's go through the others. The team. How
Yeah.
about your team?
Um,
Quick glance.
ni
Where's your hope meter?
90.
Okay. How about the organization as a whole?
I'd say 90.
Okay. How about your community?
Yeah.
The
Man, it's
friends,
yeah.
neighbors,
Yeah.
relations outside
I'm
of
gonna
your work
say,
and outside of your family.
go back to that one thing once. I'm gonna say just okay again. When I can't control something directly, I feel like
Yep.
yep,
So here's what we've done. Again, using tools to help you figure out where issues are and why.
yep,
By finding that out, now you can do something about it, right? So now
interesting.
you can start to become intentional, and now there's more peace. Because here's the problem with most of the world: they generalize, they
Yeah.
whine and complain generally. So,
Mm.
like, and you can stop sharing.
Oh, yeah.
So I work with the University of Oklahoma football team, and
Nice.
it's one of the projects I get to work on. I work with the governor, I work with an athletic director, I work with head coach of a
Wow.
Power Five school, and what I teach the coaches is I teach them the how to eliminate generalities, because
Okay.
I noticed something early on, and these were brand new coaches, and I've been coaching them up. But they had had a spring game. They brought everyone into halftime. A few players screwed up, and they generalized to the entire defense. We got
Mm.
to get our act together. You got to, and they were calling the defense out, but it was
Interesting.
actually about four people.
Wow.
But because it's specific, they could call those people up, not out. And so what happened then is, because they weren't really calling them up and they were generalizing, everyone was under the cloud of blanket of negativity.
Yes.
So now the same thing happens with every single person. Most people, this country, it's just going
Yeah.
to hell in a handbasket. This
Yeah.
country, this government, these people, this, and generalizing
Yeah.
all in negativity. Well, the same thing can happen in your life. Oh, our family, our team, our organization, general, 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 general. No, 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 no. Specific,
Mm.
specific issues. Where is the actual issue? Oh, it's one relationship is affecting your view of your entire team.
Wow.
One child is affecting the entire family dynamic.
Truth.
So when you find those out, where it is and why it is, then you get to the point where you can control and actually affect peace, because you can actually do something about it.
And I'll tell you what, I love this because Jeremy, one thing I know you're really good at leadership. You're part of this thing called Giant. Maybe you even started it. I don't know. Or are you the
I
founder?
founded it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Giant is very much involved in leadership. One thing I've learned about leadership in life is that everything is always changing, right? I mean, like you just
Absolutely.
said, you can wake up one morning, your hope index, your peace index, what'd you call that? Your hope meter?
Hope meter.
Hope meter. Everything's great. And then you're right, one call. And it could even be something dumb. Like you're going to a very important meeting that you prepped for and you run over something and now your tire's flat and you have to miss that meeting. The stress, shots at cortisol. Um, I like this. I like this a lot. So do you see teams or even families using this
Yeah.
exercise?
So the beauty is at Giant, we've been doing this for 20 years, and we've been using this tool in particular for about 8 years.
Okay.
Thousands, tens of thousands of families, teams use it. Google, U.S. Air Force, Pfizer, Biogen, people from companies around the world, they use this language already inside organizations. What I've done is I've now brought it to the individual level so that now individuals can use it, not just these large corporates. And the reason that they buy into Giant is because it's visual tools, common language. It's simple enough to draw it on a cocktail napkin and have a conversation with someone. And that's when it's simple enough for an educated 13-year-old, it scales. And that's the beauty of it. So families, individuals, but also CEOs can use and play this language, because what most executives don't realize is when they see someone walk into the room and they're like, man, what's going on with Bobby? He's just not, God, I don't know. He's not performing. Well, they have no idea that Bobby hasn't told them that he's got some sickness, or they found a mass and he's afraid to tell anyone. So his performance has gone down, and then they think, yeah, he's just kind of lost it, hasn't he? Like, no. There's so many different factors. When you're inside your business and you watch all your employees come in, they have numbers over their head, and those numbers change. Well, your job is to help them mature, which again, maturity is to develop inner peace when there is no external peace.
Oh, that's good. That's good. This is interesting because I like what you said. This book gives us the language. As a leader, I think I'm pretty highly intuitive. Could be wrong, but I just felt recently in my gut that there was some team members, who whatever, something was off. And what's funny is, sure enough, Jeremie, this week, it's true. So the point is that if I would have had these tools instead of intense conversations or awkward conversations, we could have just done a simple, hey, what's your peace index? And then from that tool, they almost whatever you call it,
self-aware.
Yeah. What do you think?
So, the leadership is really, we use a narrative in Giant. A picture is the Sherpa on Mount Everest. So what you were just describing about what you did is the Sherpa has to climb while helping people climb.
Nice.
Like, that is leadership. Leadership is performing while helping other people perform.
Wow.
So if it's not just climbing, and so everyone celebrates the climbers of Mount Everest. I interviewed dozens of them, and all they wanted to do is talk about the Sherpa, because the Sherpa has to climb and lead 5 people up the mountain at the same time.
Wow.
So if you think about that, to go, you can't give what you don't possess. So I always joke and goes, no one wants to follow the asthmatic Sherpa up the mountain. It's like, they're like, don't pit me with the sick one. I want the healthiest Sherpa possible.
Interesting.
So if you are leading your family, or if you're leading a team at work, either one, or just leading yourself, but really if you're leading people, you have to be healthy. Well, oftentimes we don't know what's bothering us. So by actually having a visual and going through the process, the hope meter, the peace index, and there's probably 12 more assessments, all tied to certain little pieces that you can do. So your 70-30, inhibition, prohibition. We've got all of the place assessment, the provision index, all of these different things. What they're doing is they're helping you assess, because once you assess, you can create a game plan. And I have my favorite chapter, which is actually, they always say your favorite chapter is usually 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. I put mine as chapter 8, and I wrote this.
Can you save this chapter?
Yeah, totally.
Save this chapter for a quick halfway announcement, because this is good. This is really
love
good.
I love
Okay. So folks, if you just joined us, if you found this, maybe it's living somewhere, and we're putting this out on YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, you name it. You're in the Soul Symposium. Jeremie is one of the 5 voices, one of the 5 speakers. This event is absolutely free. And we know that you're going to love this. In fact, oh my gosh, the hope meter, the peace index, I'm loving all this. But here's the ask. The ask is, don't just work out once and think that you're fit, right? You can't just go to the gym once and be like, man, that was awesome. Now I'm good for the year. Jeremy's speaking, but the book is where he's going to take you on a deep journey. He's just talking today about some of the sights and touristy things you're going to see in the book, but he's actually going to take you himself as a Sherpa through this journey. And here's what we're saying. When you get Jeremie's book, as well as the other speakers in the Soul Symposium, you forward that receipt to us. We have a one-click option below. You put those 5 books in your cart, you check it out. When you send us your receipt, you're going to get some incredible bonuses. Many of them are only available during the Soul Symposium. One of them is going to be actually a legit full multi-day conference called Igniting Souls Conference. Jeremie's speaking there, as well as many of the other speakers. And you're going to get a virtual pass for that, $347 value, as well as each speaker's giving away a bonus. So, folks, I just want to encourage you, if you found any value whatsoever in Jeremie or the other speakers, I know what it's like to write a book. It's blood, sweat, tears. This is like you saying, hey, Jeremie, can I pick your brain? You're going to get even better because Jeremie would sit down and he would kind of speak all over the place. A book is very ordered. It's you can write notes in it, and you got to get this book. So right now, pre-order this book. This is why we did the Soul Symposium, so that they can share with you their magnum opus, their masterpiece. So Jeremie, on that point, we're going to move into round 2, and round 2 in about 20 seconds here, I'm going to introduce you, and we're recording this. So let me start this second part. Here we go. Folks, welcome to this exclusive interview with Jeremie Kubicek. Jeremie is the author of the Peace Index. I am absolutely thrilled to be able to chat with him kind of backstage, kind of after the book. This is where you get to sit down and hear the inside story. So Jeremie, word is on the street that you have a secret favorite chapter. And I heard this and I said, I got to know this story. First of all, why is this your favorite chapter? And tell us a little bit more about the Peace Index.
Yeah, so chapter 8 is my favorite chapter. But before I tell you that, the whole game here is to understand what is not working in your life. Where is your pain and why is it there? And for years, I had the privilege of speaking, working with, coach, I don't know how many hundreds, almost, I won't say thousands, but I need to add it up over the last 25 years.
Sure.
I've lived in Russia, I've lived in London, I've lived in Atlanta, I live in Oklahoma City. Currently, it's where our home base is. It's our hometown. And through every type of industry, I've found the same issue is that people are off and they don't know why they're off. And so the Peace Index gives them the ability to understand, is it my purpose? Is it people in my life? Is it the place we're living? Is it my personal health? Is it provision? What is it that's not right? And is it controllable or not? And what do I do to get on? And in some cases, it's 2 or 3 of these areas. So that's really what it is. And so then if you understand that every person has a number over their head, which is their Peace Index, then you can do something about it. So I have been working for years to help do something about it. Now, we have a concept at Giant called 100X, and it means that you need to be 100% healthy and in order to multiply. So to multiply and scale, then you need to be healthy. So in chapter 8, the reason it's my favorite is called Keeping the Peace. And I do a lot of play on words of like rest in peace, keeping the peace, your peace plan, all these things throughout the Peace Index book, because the word peace, oftentimes it has a symbol, right? It's the peace symbol, peace, love, the peace sign, and all of it kind of means world peace. Well, I'm talking about inner peace. So if you think about inner peace, and that to mature means that you learn how to have inner peace when there's no external peace. So for me, this was my life. I realized I was a guy that's very emotional. I'm up, I'm down, I'm up and down. So we developed the Peace Index as a tool to help you manage your emotions so that other people don't have to manage your emotions. And that's a key point. I want to say that one more time. It's a tool for you to manage your own emotions so that people don't have to manage your emotions. So chapter 8 is called Keeping the Peace, and it's a system that I do every single day, and I have it now in my phone, my calendar. I have this process, and it goes like this. When I wake up in the morning, I have a little routine that I do. It's called a call-up session, and the call-up session is what I do, and I remind myself who I am. Now I tie in a little devotion in it, a little Devo time. I then do workout, and I do a Devo workup, and it's all baked into this call-up session.
Wow.
Sometimes that's 30 minutes, sometimes it's 45 minutes. It's down to 15 minutes if I have to, but I still do it depending on how much time I have in the morning. Trying to wake up earlier to be able to do it. But the idea is I remind myself who I am. Now, if you have a faith component to it, you may tell God who he is. And then what that does is then it sets you with your identity in the morning. And so the other day, and sometimes I write it down. And so let me just read one to you so you can kind of see what I mean. I was on an airplane the other day, and I wrote my call up for the next day.
Wow.
And so here's an example of a call up to myself. Okay. Now, again, this is psychological, it's mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual. I'm going pro. That was my theme. It's not time for words, but it's action. It's time to train and go for it. It's time to go pro. It's a journey. I'm ready. The world needs me. I'm going pro. Not to make money or have big homes. I'm not a sellout. I'm an encourager. I'm a freedom fighter. I'm going pro. No more whining, no more hiding, no more waiting, no more rationalizing, no more excuses. I'm going pro. I was created to create. I was created to encourage. I was created to see the best in others. I was created to call up people to who they really are. I built concepts. It's time to live them. It's time to love. It's time to live. It's time to give my very best so that others can experience their very best.
Wow.
So that was a moment where I'm calling myself up through motivation into who I am and my identity. Like, picture yourself putting on your superpowers before you leave your home. That's a call-up session. And most people don't call themselves up. They're living in their call out of what people have called them out over the years. They remembered like anger or frustration, or they might be calling themselves out. God, why are you just can't seem to lose weight. You're just a loser. Man, why do you do this? And they dominate themselves.
Yep.
And when they dominate themselves, it's a form of sabotage. And so I've been working to manage my emotions by calling myself up. That's the first thing I do during the day. Then I move on to what I call people of peace. I look for people of peace. I pray for people of peace. When the shower comes on, I think about who I'm meeting that day, and I pray for people of peace. And then I look for them all day long. And when they show up, I'm like, yep, there's one. And these are people who they're excited for you. They want the best for you, or you're meant to help them. And so you find the people that you're meant to help that day. And so then I go throughout my day. And then at 5:30 every day, my alarm goes off. It's examine time. And my examine is a journey, usually on the way home or wherever I'm at. I'll do it with my wife. I'll do it with kids. They know it's a part of my daily life. So it's like, okay, guys, examine. What are you thankful for today?
5:30 p.m.
5:30 p.m. And I go, I'm thankful right before dinner. I'm thankful for this conversation with Kary. I'm thankful for this blah, blah, blah. This person of peace that came, whatever it was. Sometimes I'll text someone and tell them that. That's stage one. Stage two is, where was I off today? And I start it with me, not in domination, but in liberation of like, why was I frustrated with that conversation with Tom? What is it with me first? So far as it depends on me, I'm going to be at peace with him. What was
Yes.
off? And I go, you know what? I was really looking for honor and I didn't get it.
Mm.
And that's my issue, not his. He's really
Wow.
busy and why do I need honor from Tom? And then that takes me on a journey of like, I have a tendency, there's patterns, so I have this whole process that can
Yes.
call myself up. So I now figured out I have 29 tendencies that I tend to do.
What?
And I've tracked them and I log them and I teach people this process.
Mm.
And so then the very last thing I do is I look at my calendar for tomorrow. I prepare for it. I go, do I have it all? Am I set? Am I ready? I might say a prayer over it. And then by dinner, that takes me 7 to 15 minutes a day because I've gotten really good at it. By dinner time, I usually have the best evenings now. I'm not talking about drama. I've kind of taken that day and I've managed it.
Mm.
And so then by the time that I get to sleep, the last thing I do is I go, is there anything that made it through my filters that I'm still worried about or nervous about? Or is there a theme? So last night, the theme for me was overflowing hope.
Wow.
So that was my theme, and I call it rest in peace sleep. So it's like put a theme over you when you go to sleep.
Hmm.
And I want overflowing hope. So when I woke up in the morning, the first thing I do is, what was my theme again? It's harder than you think to remember it. I'm like, oh yeah, overflowing hope. Boom, call up session. And I start my day over again. Now, the reason, Kary, I say that and make why it's my favorite is because I used to be one of those guys that would let things build up and build up and build up. And then 2 weeks later, I would be frustrated. My wife would have to deal with this irrational mindset because there was a little straw that broke the camel's back,
Yeah.
and it really wasn't about that straw. It was about 2 weeks of not dealing with stuff.
Mm.
Now what I've done is I've done it every single day. So
Wow.
my peace, it's called keeping the peace. It's a
That's good.
process to keep the peace that you work really hard to figure out why it's not working and solve it, and then keep a system to make sure that that peace resides.
Mm. So you've been doing this for how long?
2.5 years.
Wow.
Yep.
29, what did you call them?
Did I say 29?
I think you said the
Oh,
29
29 tendencies. Yeah.
tendencies.
Yeah. So
And
each one of us, we
yeah.
have tendencies. Tendencies are not bad. They just are. They can be bad,
Can you give
but
us one?
yeah. I'll be open. I'll share. So I have a tendency
Yeah.
to overshare.
Mm.
Okay. I know it. So the next question is why, the patterns. When do you do it and why do you do it? Well,
Mm.
I do it because I get excited. And when I get excited, I can ramble. So then what's my actions that I do? Well, I just share 2 or 3 too many stories. I could have stopped with one.
Gotcha.
What are the consequences? I get people, I fire hose them. I give them too many things to think about. So what's the reality? They like me, but maybe they won't ask me a question because they're afraid that I'm going to go on too long.
Mm.
So what do I need to do? Know myself to lead myself. Next time, instead of doing 3 too many stories, I go, stay focused. What's the one topic? One thing, one thing, one thing. And I go, what's the one thing I want to talk about? I really want to convey this. I know I could add on 3 more rabbit holes, but I'm only going to focus on
Right,
one.
right. That's good. Wow. How much do other people play a role in that self-awareness, or is this something that you really have just gotten laser focused and the
Mm.
self-reflection accomplishes it?
No, people are a massive part of it. And the journey started with me because I was frustrated with other people. I had to figure out why I was frustrated. So actually, people they're the ones who make us or break us. But here's the idea of people, like, what if we didn't allow them to
Mm.
affect our peace? Other people's lack of peace shouldn't affect your peace. And
Absolutely. That's tough
I
though.
was I was allowing that to happen. And so what I've done now is I've been learning how to compartmentalize. Their pain shouldn't change my peace level. In fact,
Wow.
I should use my peace level. My peace level needs to be really high so I can try to help heal any pain or take anything out of them or call them up if they're a responsive person. But let's say you're talking to a narcissist. Well, there should be big walls between you and them. They shouldn't even enter in. My wife is dealing with a situation, and she's done a great job with not allowing a situation in her
Mm.
life to affect her entire peace. Well, it's taken her years, decades to get
Wow.
to that level. And many of you know what I'm talking about that are listening to this. And so, what we're doing is, I basically have a whole people system that gives you a track that you can actually assess the people,
See.
assess the trajectory of those relationships,
Hmm.
understand what their peace levels are and what struggles they might have, and then create a game plan for actually how do you bring support and challenge, and how do you increase the relational dynamic between those people.
That's interesting. So I like this a lot. A lot of people would say, "Ah, too much work. Let me just flip on the Netflix." You know, you seem like you're a student of these finer details of leadership. Why?
I think it's really more life hacks.
Mm.
If you think about what do I really do, I create life hacks. I deal with this stuff. So what I try to do is go, why is that happening? Is there a tool? Is there an axiom? Is there a common language that we can create? My business partner, Steve Cochran, and I built a lot of tools based on that. And I had built a lot of tools previously and currently continue to build things. So for me, the Peace Index it's actually not hard. It actually takes a complex issue and makes it simple enough where you
Yes.
can put it on the kitchen cabinet or kitchen counter and go, oh, my purpose is off. Well, no wonder. No wonder I'm frustrated with these people, and no wonder my personal health is struggling. I've got stress, which is affecting my personal health because my purpose is fallen.
Mm.
I need to remind myself, what am I doing again? What am I called to do? Why am I wanting to do that? And we clean up the vision. So I guess, Kary, what I like to do is I like to go directly after dissatisfaction.
Hmm.
Dissatisfaction for a lot of people run from it. I actually run towards it now because it's
Wow.
like a puzzle to solve. It's like,
Mm.
okay, wait, I'm dissatisfied with this. I'm dissatisfied. I've been so focused on my businesses, and I have several businesses that I've built, but I'm dissatisfied with my speaking system, for
Mm.
instance, because I don't have a speaking system, because I've been building all of these companies. Well, that's great. So then I go, well, what's my vision again? Well, my vision is I want to speak in organizations and teams that are responsive and really, really want to grow.
Wow.
And I'm an encourager. I get high marks when I speak. But my dissatisfaction is here. If my vision is here, I'm going to be hopeless.
Mm.
So no, my vision is this. I'm really gifted in communicating and helping people. I say that with secure, confident
Sure.
humility.
Yeah.
So therefore, my vision is here. So my dissatisfaction now, okay, now that's the next steps. Well, I need to get my social media in order. I need to rebuild my speaking management. I need to find key partners. See what I mean? And those are 4 or 5 things that I can do to solve that level of or that lack of peace. Just
Mm.
that one. So dissatisfaction, if you do it right, it becomes all of the clues and the natural next steps. You just
That's
have to
good.
dust off your vision.
Like you say, it becomes almost the catalyst, the spark to get you going. So many of us spin with lack of clarity. I say clarity attracts, confusion repels. If you're clear and you are putting together that action plan, like you said, um, as I've studied happiness, happiness is all about progress. The happiest people in life see progress relationally,
Yep,
physically, emotionally, financially. So if you're not experiencing progress, you're unhappy. But what the peace index does is it gives us words to why we're unhappy.
that's right. And the ability to have a game plan to make some progress and and to mature, which again, maturity is creating inner peace when there is no external peace.
That's good, man.
So
That's good, by the way.
so
I like that.
so when you think of maturity for someone who's in a really dire straits, really tough situation, control the controllables. Where you go, well, I can't control where I live. I'm in a situation that's really really tough. I don't make enough. My provision's low. I have a health, DNA issues with my health. So all of those are uncontrollables.
Mm,
But you could then become a victim of those, or the resolve inside of you is actually, whether it's by faith, spiritual, it's a mental, it's accountability, it's a combination of both. You actually begin to call yourself back up into who you are.
yeah.
You then start looking for the positive and eradicating negativity.
Mm,
And then when you start eradicating negativity, it doesn't have control over you as much anymore. And so I'm a believer in healing, in taking things off, in calling people up. And most people experience, a consistent stealing, killing, destroying. Those are things that consistently affect people. So the way that you have to control that is your own mindset. You
mm,
call yourself up into the morning of who you are. I'm a liberator. I'm a freedom fighter. I create content that the world uses to
mhm.
change people. That's what I do. I'm designed. I wrote this book in 18 days. I wrote it because it's in me. I
Wow.
have 3 more books behind this that I'm writing over the next 3 years. They're just in me. So therefore, if you can then understand what is it that's in you and deal with the negativities in a different way. You know the definition of insanity, right? Doing the
Right.
same things over and over, expecting different results. I've come across it constantly. I'm like, how's that working for you? It's not, is it? Is there a different game plan? Could you trade up to a different action? And that's the beauty of the Peace Index is it gives you the tools, it gives you the language, it gives you the game plan. And
Yes.
again, as mentioned, there's about 15 or so tools in here that you can use to make major changes in your purpose, with your people, your place, your personal health, and your provision. And it's not mamby-pamby. It's not a bunch of jargon. It's not just like be a better person, be the person within. It's none of that. It's
Right.
really, really practical.
Yeah. So as we end this amazing interview, this bonus content here, what do you want people to walk away with?
I want them to understand that they have a level of peace. They have a number over them right now, and it doesn't have to be that way. They
Mm,
can actually learn what it is and how to move it north, how to get it to a higher level. And when they do that, they can help get other people's peace levels up so that
mm,
they can actually be a part of eradicating negativity. And then if you lead people, then you know how to lead them more
yeah.
effectively because now you have common language to go, oh, I see what it is. It's a people situation. Can I
Yes.
help them or not? And sometimes you have to outsource those things to other people. So I want people to have the tools. I want them to have the understanding of actually how to deal with the negatives that are going on in the world. And I had one person goes, so Jeremy, you're just like you've got like a squirt gun at the gates of hell. How's this going to change anything? I'm like, actually, it's more than the butterfly effect. It's literally if people of peace can create or have higher peace, they
Mm.
will pass on more peace. There's actually this whole design and construct here of the peace index
I
to get
believe
you to assess it and then do something about it and then review it on a consistent level. And the ramifications of that are much better for our world than those who are doing nothing.
I believe that. And as I think about, I'll never forget 911. And I'm sure everyone has this event in their head, but I think it was the first time I was an adult that a tragedy happened. And I remember the whole world back then, like being not at peace. I mean, you talk about buildings falling down on people, this fabric, fake, false sense of security was shattered in a moment. And whether you like him or hate him, the president at that point basically injected peace into society because we needed some clarity. And I think that that's what this book is, Jeremie. I really see that. I see this book as, because I've read it, I've heard you speak. By the way, if anyone needs a great speaker, Jeremie is the one. Seriously, like if your organization needs to be motivated, influenced, practically trained, and equipped, this is Jeremie's that type of speaker. But I would pray, my hope and prayer is that your book is that voice in a time of epic unrest. I mean, epic. And I think, yeah, does history tell that story? Sure. But you look at, we have social media now. So, the bearer of unpeace, of unrest, of chaos is glued to my hand and I see it 24/7.
That's right.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
do you think I mean, maybe we'll end with that comment, but do you think
Yeah.
social media today has exacerbated this unrest?
Yeah. It's spread chaos.
Mm,
And the best way to conquer chaos is with peace. The best way to conquer negativity is with peace. Because when you're mature enough to have resolve and resiliency in your core of who you are, then a tweet can't affect you, or a news report of China and Taiwan can't affect you. Or when you're filling up the gas and it's inflation, you go, this too shall pass.
yeah.
I've seen it before. We've had high, we've had low. It's contentment, it's consistency, it's resolve. It's these types of leaders that we need, and the world needs better leaders. But it's a
Mm,
journey with yourself, and you have to get healthy. Remember the Sherpa on Mount Everest. We don't
yes.
need unhealthy Sherpa. We need you to be a healthy person so that you can help lead others up the mountain and train them to be healthy as well. And that's a worthy journey for yourself. And that's what I've attempted to do in the Peace Index.
Well, Jeremie, thank you for this bonus content. This was a fantastic interview. And where can people find out more about all that you're doing? Because I know you have this book, but you have many other books. You're
Yeah.
speaking. You have the giant thing. Tell us where we
Yeah.
can find out more about.
Yeah. So you can go to the peaceindexbook.com. That's one. You can go to giantworldwide.com to see what we do. We certify people on this content inside companies or coaches and consultants. Or, and this is a hard name to spell, JeremieKubicek.com for speaking.
Sure.
Obviously, it'll be in the show notes and those kinds of things. But those are three places you can find me at your convenience.
Love it. And folks, as we conclude the Soul Symposium, I want to remind you again, this was absolutely free to you. And yes, it starts the conversation, but to take this to the deeper level, you need to purchase Jeremie's book, pre-order it. Why? You're going to get incredible bonuses. Any version, audio, ebook, print, and then the other authors as well. And then again, we're going to send you this incredible bonus pack. Jeremie, thanks for being with us today, and thanks for giving us so much value.